Right now I'm doing like happy animal paintings, and people don't really know like what's the meaning of all the animals. So, and part of that is I'm trying to discover what the meaning of all the animals is myself. I think in a way it is kind of a homage to something I really deeply enjoy, the outdoors. We'll see how next year goes. I'll be doing a lot more work with my own art, more than I have done in the past. So next year will be a kind of a interesting make or break year. See me rise up or go down in flames here. I'm trying to grow my business that is making money maybe just above hobby level at this point. And I have a job at Makeshift that's stable, but I'm not making big bucks there either. And then Jennifer has this business that's been really growing and does have a lot of immediate potential to make good money. So it's like, how do I balance my art business with my job, Makeshift?
And for art, it's just like, I make a bunch of art and it depends what happens, and there's no guarantee, and there's no like guarantee that that piece you think is amazing is gonna sell at the art show. And you're always surprised which ones do sell.
Some of the paintings I'm doing right now, I feel like they're the best paintings I've done, so that's something. But I'm also working pretty hard on my comic type of work, and that is a big question mark right now for me. I think that's one of the main things I want to do this year is really push my comic work to a place where I can make it fully public, make it fully expressed. I'm at a place where I've been thinking about my comic work a lot, but I'm just not at the place where it's public yet. So I feel like I'm really in my head, and I need to get it out of my head and out into the public sphere. So that's a major goal, and that will be one of the first things I do entering the new year. I'll be hitting that point soon. I have the first chapter drafted over here, and I just need to kind of clean it up, put it in color, make it printable, and start showcasing it. I seek to co-opt the realism of the world and what I'm trying to sketch here. I'm really just using it as an exercise to train my mind of what's the form of the tree, what's the basic essential form, that when I do go in my studio and I sketch out the next chapter or a couple panels of a comic or whatever, I'll be able to just pull up that image in my mind. I'll have the right guardrails of what an oak tree is and what an oak tree is not, and I'll be able to make some beautiful backgrounds while the animals run around. My grandparents had a fairly extensive setup for bird feeders and things like that, and that was always fun too, to see the various songbirds that would come through the forest, through the woods. It was not only good to kind of learn what kind of birds are in your area, but you could see them up close from the kitchen dining room window. Just, you can marvel at the beauty of the birds. It's just that kind of wonderment and discovery. You never know what you're gonna find out in nature. Even this morning driving up, the sky was just incredible with the sun rising. We had such an incredible spectrum of purples and peach and reds and oranges. It's just amazing. I do believe that art should testify to what's beautiful and what's true. And some people make a lot of philosophical hay of what that's supposed to be or how that is expressed through art, but I just do it as simply as intuitively trying to make something look mild and pleasing and attractive. The best way to say it is I'm trying to create characters and stories that have the essential elements of observed reality and natural beauty. And nature is universal. Like, that's part of the reason why I really started leaning into doing more animal art a few years ago. I was looking for a body of work that I could make, that I could bring to art shows that was universally appealing. And animals just seemed like the best fit for that, for the artwork I was doing. I hope those, like the passive beauty of each panel, capturing the landscape that they're in, capturing the story, giving the story a context in the outdoors, in nature. I hope I can inspire people through that. A lot of people talked in terms of what's sacred and what's profane. And there's something related to that with creation, being out in creation, making art that's related to nature, based on nature. There is a sacred element to that. I probably won't be doing animal art my whole life, but leaning into aspects of creativity that honor the sacred, something I will always seek to do. I love the look of the ink. I definitely realized that when I did the coloring book. Once I went back with my pencil drawings and put the ink on and cleaned it up, it just became a totally different product, a higher level of product. So Foxy, that's his nickname. Everyone calls him Foxy, but he has a real name too, but I'm not revealing that yet. That will come out in the wash at some point. He's slightly embarrassed about it, but it's a nice name. I had a working name for Raccoon, but I decided to go with it. So I went through, that was one of the edits I did, was I went through and instead of calling him Raccoon, he's called by his new name now. And his name is Orion. So, Orion. Which is an epic name for a epically wild, ungovernable creature. So I am definitely Foxy. And that comes out pretty quick in the story too, in the next chapter, which I started, or the next section. Foxy is working at his desk making the comic. So he's making the comic as the comic unfolds, kind of thing. It's some weird meta thing. Raccoon is definitely based off one of my buddies. Jack the rabbit and his family, and Little Red Squirrel and his family. There's flecks of different personalities in those two characters as well that will be represented in some of my personal relationships. And Foxy's also, he's just a bachelor basically. He doesn't have a partner. And Jack and Red, they both have families. So there's like a way that I will be represented in those two characters as well in family life, in a way that I can't really do that with Foxy. So there'll be, interesting personal things that will come through from time to time. So, if you knew me, then it would be safe to assume that all the animals are kind of Christian to begin with. You know, I'm not really making something risque or anything like that. You know, so I'm curious to see how that will come through. But definitely the values of friendship and each animal unit, each animal family looking out for one another, kind of how everyone's trying to take care of raccoon, help him find a job. Some animals will be a little less patient with him, but everyone's still kind of trying their best to help out, you know. So that will come through, just brotherly love and civic duty. Definitely starting out, what I am trying to say is just to tell a fun story that I think people really enjoy. Yeah, and I wouldn't say it's not art, but in terms of high art or fine art, doesn't hit the bar for me. It's like more in the world of pop art. You know, it's funny, the whole debate about what is art and what's not art is, I think it's valuable to talk about those things, but at the end of the day, it's just kind of like, do I like this picture? Do I think it looks cool, or do I not think it looks cool? And if someone likes something, that's great, and if they don't like it, that's fine too. I think one obvious measure of success is once I start to post it on Instagram, and do that also while I roll out the comic itself, and just try to build a thing and build a following from that. Likes don't pay bills, but part of it would be if I have a larger following and people are engaged, as I have a habit of posting the comic, then when I do things like, hey, this book is available for the Foxy and Friends comic, I can expect to change 5% of that kind of account following into materialized sales. And I'll be, you know, it will increase the reach of my original artwork as well. So between the comic, selling the comic, developing interest for the comic, and selling original artwork and other printed things like cards and prints, I think that's going to be what I'm aiming for and what will help me measure my success going forward. Final page of my episode 1, my Foxy and Friends comic. Long time in the making, and hopefully the beginning of many more episodes to come. So what I've been doing is I'm just doing a typical watercolor process where before I start, I staple the paper down to the board so that if I make an area too saturated with water or color, it doesn't totally warp the paper. Just standard procedure here. Watercolor and I have had a finicky relationship beforehand, so took me a while to kind of figure out even how to tackle this. Part of what's taken me so long to even launch this thing at all is because I wanted to launch it in a way that I was setting myself up for the most success, and to say to myself there wasn't any much more I could do to this to make it, quote, better, and that's why I wanted to do it in color. I think that's another reason why I've been feeling like I've been putting off this project too, is because there's so many unknowns of like, how do I print, how do I do the watercolor, that I haven't felt okay investing that time until I know if I don't do it now, I won't have it ready for summer shows. So now's the time to do it. Like, I finally boxed myself in to do it, but it's kind of that time constraint of like, well, I need to do things at makeshift, and I need to make sure I finish these paintings which are piled up, and they're not going to paint themselves, and I know they'll sell eventually. You know, where this is like, I don't know how I'm going to monetize this quite yet, except for amass a bunch of followers that I can maybe manipulate later to buy stickers or posters or comic booklets or something. So, yep. It's all just a mystery right now. Maybe plushies, maybe people buy plushies. Just the act of creating is just such a fierce experience for me. Like when I had the coloring book printed in my hand, it was just like all the feelings of creating it up to that point, and the initial vision of having it in my mind, and then having what was in my mind tangibly in my hand. That's like a very spiritual experience. Like I am made in the image of God, and He is the creator God, and I am creating with Him, like Him in that moment. So there's like that kind of moment happening. That's like wound up in my own psyche of like, I'm aware of that when I'm painting happy animals, and everyone's like, oh, that's cute, you can put that in the kids' room. And it's like, well, sure, you can, but it goes so much deeper than that. I feel like this year has been really good for me to fully, not master, but fully explore the wild animal topic. And I'll be ready to move on to new topics. I think it's time for that. I figured out what I want to do with Foxy and Friends. I think the chapter 1 experimentation was great. It wasn't as seamless as a launch and moving on to the next thing as I thought it was going to be, but I learned a lot, and I think I'm ready to be launched into the chapter 2 with a refined system and intentional approach. I already have some other ideas I want to explore. I have some biblical type paintings that are a little more, I don't want to say complicated, but there's a lot more symbolism and layering and storytelling involved with those pieces that I think I'm ready for that. I think I'm ready for something more unexpected and challenging. I'm like one step away from realism. I think I'm trying to capture something like an icon, like a Russian Orthodox icon that has all these bright, austere colors with some angelic, spiritualized figure. It's like reflecting something that's true, reflecting something that's universal. I'm trying just to tie things together in a way that creates like a stained glass glow or some sort of vivid color palette impression that kind of speaks to you subconsciously, warms your heart, endears you to the creatures or the artwork. That's kind of what I'm trying to go for. So it's some sort of like pseudo iconography I'm trying to do. I think that's what I'm trying to say. And that's what I'm going to bring over to the biblical paintings. It does seem like I'm trying to make some sort of like religious icon style type of work. So this is all coming to me right now as I'm speaking. So it's very exciting to kind of come to terms with that. Yeah, I think it's time to grow. That's what I'm kind of realizing. It's time to grow and kind of break out of the mold I set up for myself. And the mold I'm using now is still useful, but I don't need to have that as my primary focus right now. So.